Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be going through the Women Founders Network application. Let me just put up this enhancement right here. My bad, y'all. I'm just trying to do a million things at the same time, and it really doesn't work. But you know, what can you do? Only one person. Okay. Listen, TikTok rewards engagement, so I need you guys, bestie. I need you guys to tap, 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 like, share, share, share. Do all the things that are going to get the right people in here. We want the right people in here with the right mindset who are worried about winning, because at the end of the day, when you go through a grant application, excuse me, sorry, y'all. When you go through a grant application, you are going to be trying to stand out, right? That is the whole point. You want to stand out so that you can win, right? Like, for real, there's winners and losers. I'm sorry to put it so plainly. I'm a straight shooter. If you don't like it, then I don't know what to tell you, but there's winners and there's losers. You don't get, rarely ever do we get participation points for just doing the things, right? Just showing up. In some instances, I will say this, in some instances, when I have not won opportunities in the form of funding, I've won them in other things, right? Like, I've gotten feedback, which is really important, and people don't seem to care for it, but it's important. Excuse me, I've gotten feedback that's gone on to make me a lot more money. I've gotten other opportunities. So you just want to show up with your best self, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We've gone through this application last year, but it was a great opportunity in my opinion. It really does position you to learn how to pitch. It gives you $100,000 in services, and it also gives you $55,000 in cash grants. This is a pitch competition. It's a fast pitch competition. The application is open till May 31st. So that means if we do it today, you have roughly a month to get this application done. So you have no excuse not to do it, okay? Thank you, Jolena, for liking. I'm going to do 2 giveaways today for the most engaged followers, for the most engaged people in the live, all right? And I'm going to give away this book right here, but I'm going to give away the digital copy because I don't want to pay to ship. But this book right here is the Grant Know-How book. I'm going to pin it right here if you want to get your copy, if you don't happen to win if from today's, one second. Okay. If you don't win from today's giveaway, then you'll still be able to access it and grab your copy. This book has 62 of the most commonly asked questions, how to craft a compelling narrative, and some of the things that we're going to be talking about today are outlined in this grant application. Like, we're going to go through how to format your answers and what the funders want to know. But if you want to be able to do this on your own in every single application that we go through, then this book will help you do that. All right. Any questions before we get started? Again, giving away 2 digital copies to the most engaged people. All right. 2 of these are going to go out. Now, as we are listening to the requirements for the grant application, please please tap, get people in here who want the actual resources, who want to win more grants, who can take advantage of this opportunity. Share it with people who can take advantage of this opportunity. All right. So again, this is for the fast pitch competition. The application opened yesterday, April 1st. It closes May 31st of 2024. It says, we recommend that you download our fast pitch guideline. There are guidelines for the application. Have you ever come across grants for a party supply store? Not specifically, but that doesn't mean they don't exist, because I'm just not looking for them. Okay. So, and then also, don't just go for grants that are specific to your business. Try to also look for more general grants and compete, like really learn how to compete. Okay. So this is again for a fast pitch competition. They have guidelines. They also have a financial template that they will give you. All right. That they gave you a financial template. Why do you need a financial template? Can anyone tell me why you would need a financial template? And remember, I'm giving away 2 of these digital copy to anyone who is the most engaged in the live. So this is your moment to shine. All right. Why would they give you a financial template for 2024? Anybody? Why would they give that to you? Anybody could take a wild guess. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Showing income, yes, that is one thing that they do want to show. Thank you, Empress. Projections and performance history, absolutely. Jolena, you don't get to answer these questions because you're already an advanced person in this chat. I know you know all the things. What is the Fast Pitch Grant? First time being here. It is an opportunity being given by Women Founders Network. It is $55,000 in cash grants and $100,000 in services, okay? We're going to go through the application, and I'm going to give you the answers on how to be competitive. I'm also giving away 2 of these books to the people who are the most engaged. I don't have to be here, you guys. I'm doing this for you. I don't mean that to be a mean girl. People don't like when I say that, but I know how to do this, okay? Projections and knowing your numbers, absolutely. That is why they're going to ask you. If you are looking for opportunities that are 5 figures or more, they're going to ask you for financials. They want to know that when they give you the money, you know that money applied, what it's going to do and how it's going to help you be successful. Okay, so moving on. There's 2 different types of grants that they're allowing pitches for. So one is tech enabled, meaning that you work with a business to business or business to consumer, so B2B or B2C company that relies on significant development of technology to deliver the product or service. Do you guys want to go through that one? Or do you want to go through the consumer other non-tech, which is any product sold to consumers as physical units or consumer-focused media content, e-commerce sites, or services provided to consumers. So you could put 1 in the chat or you could put 2 in the chat, and we'll go through either one of those, because I know a lot of our businesses are not really tech enabled, even though we should be, because if you go back to the predictions, you gotta integrate technology nowadays, right? So do we want to go through 1 or 2? I'll go back and answer some questions. Yes, most of the grants, if not all of the grants that we go through, are for profits and nonprofits. All right. These grants are no use for typical employees. I don't know what you mean by that, Namo. All right, first one, you got consumer, you got Love Energy Nature said 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, consumer, 2. Does the digital media and entertainment company count as tech enabled? If you use technology in your day-to-day to be able to operate, you are tech enabled, okay? Like you rely on technology, meaning that you're integrating technology. Technology is you cannot survive without it. All right, so I got a bunch of 2, so we're going to do 2. All right, cool. If you haven't already, go check out the book so you can see how to frame these answers for yourself. All right, so this says, first and foremost, I just want to warn you now, there is a $50 application fee. Do not let that deter you. Please don't let that deter you. Some of the bigger grant opportunities do have an application fee, okay? I'm just going to warn you now. All right. We talked about the deadline. We talked about eligibility. All right. Eligibility. While we're listening to eligibility, go ahead and tap the screen so we can get the right people in here. Okay. Founders or co-founders, CEO must be a woman or business. Right. Must be a woman or business. Must be majority owned by a woman. You know what that means? That means if you have a business with a man with a man, and you say it's 50-50, that you don't qualify. Unfortunately, you have to have 51% ownership, meaning that you have to have 1 more percent of ownership than him in order for it to be considered a majority woman-owned business. Okay, cool. We cannot accept applications from life sciences, cannabis, CBD companies, or from nonprofit. So this is not for the nonprofit girlies, okay? Sorry. Finalists must be able to participate in person at the annual Fast Pitch event on October 29th. They do not cover your flight, accommodations, anything like that. So if you do win or you move up into the competition, you have to be able to commit to go in October, all right? So just keep that in mind. So there's 2 things that we already talked about. It's $50, plus you have to be able to commit to go to the actual pitch competition, all right? Companies must not have raised more than $750 in outside funding, including personal cash funds. All right. Businesses must be based in the U.S. So that means if you are in Africa, Brazil, or anywhere in South America or Europe, this is not for you, babes. I'm sorry. All right. The event takes place in California. So keep that in mind so that if you are going to be going, plan to be going to California in the last part of the year. All right. What else do we need to know? Hold on. I did not put this video up. All right. Any questions about that so far, you guys? Any questions about that so far? $750,000. So 6 figures, 750,000. So you could not have made more than 750. Okay. Application fee is $50. Correct. Yep. All right. So they have a process judging round one. Top 25 companies, 20 to 25 companies in each track will be selected as semifinalists and will be asked to provide additional information. Judge votes to select 5 finalists from each track. This group of 10 finalists will receive the benefits outlined below and advance to compete at the October 5th. So there's multiple people who are going to win. So don't count yourself out already. Please, I beg you, do not count yourself out. There's 20 to 25 people initially, and then it's going to be dwindled down to 5, all right? If you have your company already set up and positioned, you should be good. You should be good to go, all right? So you guys will receive the 10 finalists will receive the following benefits: friendly feedback pitch event to assess your needs, one-on-one pitch coaching to hone your skills and prepare for the pitch event, financial mentor providing pro bono consulting services to get your financials in order, participation in the pitch event, opportunity to compete for $25,000, $5,000, and $100,000 in services. The 25 and 5 are cash, right? Cash amounts. And then 100,000 in services. All right. So we're going to go through this application. I'm going to go ahead and sign up because I think I still have my sign in from last year's application. Let's see if I do. I do. All right. So I'm going to start the application and let's see. Where are the actual questions? Okay, where are they? I don't know if you mentioned this is for startups. That's a good question. Let's look. Okay. All right. So let's look to see if they accept startups. Pre-revenue plans are welcome. They do, which is amazing because that means that if you had not made $1 yet in your business, they will accept your application. However, there's a caveat because remember, when you are fighting for 6 figures or more, 5 figures or more, they're going to still need proof that you validated the information in your application, right? So that means that you have to be able to generate something that shows customer interest in your business or customer signups, surveys, or letter of intent. So letter of intent is something that you would attach to like your business plan typically, and you would submit that showing that another company has the intent to back you to be successful. So let's say you were a marketing company and you got a letter of intent from Facebook saying that they'd give you ads for free for a year. Something like that, right? The intent to help you get in front of your audience and be successful or work things out so that you are going to be positioned to win. You need another company to back you and kind of like vouch for you in a way, right? So this is what that's for. All right, so then now let's start the application itself, if it would open. Okay, hold on one second, y'all. Okay, so let's start the actual application. Today, y'all. Today. Come on. TikTok, do your thing. Okay, so first thing they're going to ask you is there's 14 points. All right. All right. The first point is competitive advantage. What makes you special? Why would someone want to invest or work for you? Tell us. Okay. What makes you special? That is asking about your unique selling proposition. So what do you do differently that other people are not doing in this industry? How are you innovating? How are you creating more competition in the market, right? What makes you unique? Why do customers go to you and not somebody else? Does anyone have the answer to that question for their industry? And remember, engagement gets rewarded here. 100%, all right? Giving away 2 of these. And TikTok tells me who the most engaged is when I get off the live. So I'm going to just DM you and tell you, hey, I need your email address so I can give you the digital copy of this. So let me pin this back. All right. Did you tell the site? It is Women Founders Network pitch competition, fast pitch. If you Google Women Founders Network fast pitch, you'll find it. All right. So it's the grant name that's right here above my head. All right. So what makes you special? Anyone can tell me what makes you special. Why would someone want to invest in you and work with you or work for you? Anybody, somebody. I don't see where you are. My application starts with an elevator pitch. So if you go to your venture, so it's like application fee, your venture, questions, you click on the your venture and then you click on the company name. It says, please fill the required venture field here. And then you can start the application. Okay, we close the exploitation and representation gap for Black women in arts and entertainment. Okay, awesome. That's a great point. Why is that special? And I'm asking these questions. Matter of fact, let's see if you can get on. You cannot, right? But that's okay. I want you guys to think about why that makes you special. And remember, this has to be something that nobody else is doing, right? Because if somebody else can come in behind you and swoop up behind you and do the same thing, it's not that special. If it's easily replicable, if it's easily if they can overshadow it with another value proposition, then you need to think about what is that one thing, that little sweet spot that is unique to you as a company. All right. We creators and business streamline their social media efforts. Okay, by providing a one-stop shop for all their social media needs. Okay. Why can't anybody else do that? And I'm being very serious when I ask this question. And if you can't answer that question right now, that's perfectly fine. But what I would say to answer that question about what makes me special, if I were talking about I'm gonna use your business as an example. I'm gonna say I think it's Desiree Monet. If I'm saying that wrong, correct me, right? What makes you special? It could be the demographic that you target. Maybe it's an underserved demographic. That could mean whatever their age group is. It could be whatever their race is, whatever their sex is, their gender identity is, right? What makes you special is that you target this particular people and then this particular group of people, and you can qualify and quantify why you go after them. That's super important. That's the big chunky piece. That's the meaty piece, right? Because you can't just say, oh, I do this because, okay, or I do this and this is what I do. What makes you special is the details behind it. We target this audience because they contribute to 25% of the GDP of Tennessee, and they're underserved and underrepresented. So we know that if we were to target this group, the GDP of Tennessee would be able to see a 25% increase if we were to capture 100% of that group. Do you see the difference between just answering the question and then qualifying that answer to really tell what makes you special. You've done the legwork, you've done the research, you've done the back work. This is what separates people from I serve businesses that are this versus market research that really qualifies that answer. Okay. A different perspective. I have nuanced experience and knowledge of entertainment. Okay, that's about you, but you need to talk about it from your company standpoint, because this is competition, you guys, right? Apple and what's the other guy? Samsung are always competing against each other. What makes people go to Apple versus what makes people go to Samsung? Why are these people so like loyal and devoted to them? Because that's the second part of the question is, why would someone want to work and invest in you? Tell us, right? These are going, when these companies create products and services, they know their audience better than their audience knows themselves, right? So why would someone want to invest in you? Because you've done the legwork to understand what this consumer's problem is at a very macro level, micro level. All right. So you can tell in and out what this consumer needs, how they're going to graduate with you, where their pitfalls are, how to avoid their pitfalls, where they're going to drop off, how to pick them back up into like retention as a client. You know all of these things about your consumer, and that's why they want to work with you, because you bring them a value by solving their problems so well that there's no other choice in their mind. I'm an Apple girly. Nobody can convince me to go to Samsung because Apple has made it convenient for me in my life. All of my apparatuses communicate with each other. That's what I need. When I'm not home, I could talk. If I leave my phone at home, I can talk on my watch. If I leave my watch at home, I can talk on my computer. I can FaceTime on my computer. My computer airdrops to my iMac. I love the communication. That's something that is very personal to me, right? But what is it about your thing that makes the consumer want to invest in you, and only you? Nobody else they'd want to go to. And that's the things that we got to be thinking about, all right? I'm in childcare, being flexible with time or working families. Okay. Let's say micro level. Okay, yes. Thank you for the question. So, next point that they want to know, right? For anybody who's stuck around, remember, engagement gets rewarded here. Like, share. All right? Revenue highlights. What have you accomplished so far? They're telling you to brag, right? First of all, when you are talking about anything as far as percentages, always present it as a percentage, right? Because you saying that you went from 1 customer to 2 customers doesn't sound as good as saying that you've grown 100%. You know what I mean? So always represent that information as a percentage, right? So when you say what have you accomplished so far as your venture highlights, you can talk about your traction, how many customers you have, how many some of the feedback that you've gotten about your product, how you've innovated, maybe one iteration of the product that you've had, but now you've grown to a different iteration. They're telling you to brag. So talk about where you started from to where you are now. Those are all of the things that they want you to highlight and talk about. So you can really, if you believe in your brand, this shouldn't be hard. True story. Okay. Business model. Walk the audience through how you make money, right? So this could be, the grant name is right here. If you just Google it, the application will come up. Okay. Now, business model. This could be a number of things. Do you have a subscription? Is that something that your audience has determined is the best fit for them, right? Do you have a freemium model? Why is that the thing that makes the most sense? And a freemium model, and we talk about this in the workbook. The workbook re-releases tomorrow. Okay. We talk about the different structures, right? How did you decide that you would work business to business? Why did you decide that you would work business to consumer? Maybe you have a hybrid business to consumer where you sell to the consumer, but maybe you wholesale to businesses. How did you decide that that's the way that makes the most sense to make money? It could be, a couple answers could be that you picked that model because it was the industry standard, right? This is what your industry does. That's just the way the things have always worked. And that's cool, right? Or maybe you pick a hybrid model because you wanted to innovate and see if you can tap, if your industry is traditionally B2B, maybe you decided that you wanted to go to B2C because, or a hybrid model between the two because you wanted to now integrate consumers into your plan, right? You wanted the consumer to be able to get a taste of what businesses get the benefit of, right? For example, Home Depot does like special pricing for manufacturers or people who are going to be ordering in bulk. So the same lumber that I would go and get for $2, they may get for 50 cents. But if I were Home Depot and I wanted to have the consumer test out different things and I wanted to have them like maybe do a class, I could have them pay for the lumber and maybe test out. I'm speculating because I'm kind of putting this off the top of my head, but if there's different ways to innovate with the business model, it could be subscription. If you're going to do a premium model, decide on what your model is going to be so that you can articulate how you're going to make money and why it makes sense to make money that way. All right. Metrics. Time for the numbers. What is your customer acquisition cost, lifetime value for that customer, and how long are they staying with you? These are all things that you need to know. Okay? Why do you need to know them? Because if I charge, let's say I charge $100. Matter of fact, let's use Jackie Aina as an example because she just launched a perfume, right? The perfume costs $107 a bottle. I know for a fact that her team determine how much it would cost to get in front of you, the consumer, even though a lot of her marketing is organic, but even getting her ready to do the campaigns, all of those things are cost to assume a client, to bring someone in, right? So different pricing strategy will say, this is the cost to produce this product or produce this course, produce this book, whatever it is, right? Now, how much is it going to cost me to get me in front of the client? I got to add that to what it cost me to produce that thing, right? And then I also have to account for me being able to keep the customer with me as long as possible. So depending on what you're selling, that might mean a sales team. That might mean administrative overhead, like you being able to hire an assistant to be able to answer emails and calls because it can't all just be you, right? So lifetime value of that client could also be, what are they going to bring in on an annual basis, right? So let's say you charge them $1. That means that the annual ATV for that LTV for that client is going to be $12. But if you want to keep them for 12 years, first of all, how are you going to do that? And how did you determine that that's typically the staying time, right? My clients' LTV, like the lifetime of them, is going to be somewhere around 3 years. Why? Because because I'm graduating with them, right? I want to make sure that they have the confidence to be able to get all the basics down year 1, be able to navigate an application successfully year 2, give support in that way. Year 3, they're going to the big leagues, right? And then I know how much they're going to be paying each step of the way and how much it costs to acquire them in my time, in my marketing efforts, in my marketing materials, in the assistants that are going to be helping me. Those are all of the moving parts that you need to be able to know in order to successfully answer this question. All right? How we do that, you can outsource this, but honestly, this answer is a little bit more difficult if you don't already have a little bit of background information about this knowledge and you're already doing it, which is why I encourage you guys to stick around so that when we're doing these trainings, you get this insight. I'm not trying to tell you on something. I'm just telling you, like, these are the questions they're going to be asking you at this level of funding. You want $55,000. You have to know how much it's going to cost you to bring a client in. Do we get that, or should I give one more example? Because I actually have one more example I can give you. Do we get that, or one more example is good? I can give you an actual example with like a media company because I think media companies are able to do this really well. Okay, so if I'm going to have a campaign for a product, one of my client acquisition costs or customer acquisition costs is going to be marketing. It's going to be ads, right? I can determine how much my ads are going to be because I'm going to look at If I spend $20 and I put my ad and I set up my ad campaign in Facebook or something, they're going to tell me spend $20, you're going to be able to reach between 5 and 20 people. Okay? So, if I know that my industry's conversion rate is about 3%, if I want to make X amount, and I'm using obscure numbers here, right? But or figures here, values. If I want to make X amount and I know $20 will get me between 5 and 20 people, I know that I have to pour X amount of money into this campaign to make X amount of money, right? And that's going to bring in the number of people that I needed to bring in, because it's 5 to 20. So I'm going to have a range. I'm going to say $20 could bring in 5 people, or it could bring in 20 people. If I put $20, it could bring me potentially maybe 15 people, or it could bring me 60 people. Okay? So there's going to be a range there. Now I know if I want to make $100,000, I'm sorry, 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Sorry about that. I got people yelling in my house in the background. Okay, so I know that I want to make $100,000, for example, and my conversion rate is 3%. I'm going to put that against the conversion rate to determine how many people I know it's going to cost me to bring into my business, right? That's just an example if I'm just talking about marketing. Does that make sense, you guys? Yes, I do consult K Calix. Please let me know if that makes sense. Okay, awesome. All right, so the next, and that's going to be the same thing for lifetime value of a customer, how long the customer is staying with you. If you're not sure and you're just starting out, start with the industry standards, right? Start with what the industry typically does and how it performs. That could be like a baseline for you, okay? You can DM me because my calendar, I haven't listed my calendar anywhere, all right? Because it's I don't think I have anything till like end of this month, okay? If you, to repeat the last part, if you are not sure what your customer acquisition costs are, what your lifetime value of your customers are, how long customers typically stay with you, use the industry standards. But that means you have to know what industry you're operating in, the actual industry, right? So if you know your industry, use the industry standards for what average industry customer acquisition costs are. And just Google that and research that. All right. Go to market. How are you? So number 5 is to go to market. How are you getting your product to the market? What have you seen be successful? Add it here. So this could also be an industry standard thing too. But I would say here you kind of want to innovate, because you don't want to just do something that everybody else is doing, running an ad campaign or blah, blah, blah. Or if you are, how are you innovating on that? So how are you getting your product to market? Are you like, for example, one of the ways that some places get their product to market is that when you go to sample something at Costco, you think you're just getting a free sample. That is that product entering the marketplace, right? Yeah, that is that product giving you a taste of what they have to offer so that you can put that item in your cart. That is part of their go-to market strategy, right? Is it going to be you getting in front of podcasts? Is it going to be you getting, maybe doing like penetration pricing, right? So part of it could be that you start off really low just to kind of get people in, and then you ultimately charge your base price. That could possibly be part of it. What else? How could you bring your product to market? It could be through advertising. It could be through samples. It could be through like you could just go on the street and start promoting your product, right? There's so many different ways. Every product, depending on what industry you're in, is different. Social media was my go-to-market strategy. It was the best way to get in front of the people that I needed to get in front of, right? So your go-to-market strategy, part of your go-to-market strategy could be social media. I think you should have at least 3 things considered, okay? When you're talking about how you're going to get your product out there, who you're going to get, how you're going to get your product in front of the person who's going to use it the most. All right. What have you seen be successful? If you've had a successful product launch, then do talk about that. And then talk about 2 other things that you plan on doing. All right. Who are your biggest competitors is number 6. They're going to ask you to do a competitive analysis. All right. So who are your biggest competitors? We talk about competitors from 2 standpoints. One is going to be the person that you have direct competition with, and then it's going to be the person that you have indirect competition with. What does that mean? I'm going to use an example to do this. And remember, engagement gets rewarded here. Okay. I'm going to put that right under here. Engagement gets rewarded. All right. So biggest competitor. If I need to do my nails on a Saturday night at midnight, CVS is closed. Who is CVS's indirect competitor? Okay, I'm not sure why, because my DMs are open. So, yeah. Yes. So Walgreens. So Walgreens and Rite Aid, those places would be my direct competitors, right? The reason why they're going to be my direct competitors are because they are going to be the people that do everything I do point for point, if that makes sense, right? I want my indirect competitor. Who am I going to go to that can get me the same results in a roundabout way? Walmart, nail shop. Nail shop can be an indirect competitor, right? Okay. I'm looking for a specific one because I don't want you guys to think, because you guys are in the right lane, right? But I want you to think about who can get me the same result but doesn't do the same thing, because Target, they're kind of like catch-all stores. I can go to Target for nails and I can go for snacks, right? But I can also go to CVS for nails and snacks. So think about where I can go that might not be like related to CVS. I'll give you a hint, they might deliver to me instead, right? So indirect would be someone like Amazon, even what's the other one? Not that DoorDash. What's the other one that people use to like deliver stuff to them? Yes. So being online would be another one. Okay. So Amazon is in direct competition with CVS because everything I can get in CVS, I can get on Amazon. I just have to deliver it. Right. Uber Eats is another one of those kind of things. All right. So they're going to want to know if you know who those people are, why would your direct and indirect competitor matter? Because when you do something called a SWOT analysis, you're going to be looking at their strengths, their weaknesses, what opportunities they are taking advantage of or can take advantage of, what threats are inherent to them. Hi, D, how are you? What threats are inherent to them, and you want to know where you fit in that space. You absolutely need to know that. Why, right? Why do we care? Because first and foremost, if they have strengths that we don't have, then we want to level up, right? If they have weaknesses, you're going to exploit them. Let's keep it real. This is competition. This is Sparta. If there's opportunities, you want to take advantage of some of those opportunities too. If there are threats, you want to know what those threats are so that you can move as many of your threats, at least, to strengths or opportunities, right? All right. So this is why they want you to look at your competitors and they want to see, hey, does this person really know what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what opportunities are inherent in their industry, which is, I'm going to circle back. I have to circle back for a second, and I'm not trying to be annoying. You have to know what industry you're operating in because you can't conduct a SWOT or competitive analysis successfully if you don't know what industry you're in. If you list the wrong industry, you're going to get kicked. Your application is going to get booted. Why? You cannot talk about the industry that you're in, what opportunities there are if you don't know which industry you're actually in. One example that I always give when I talk about that is the manufacturing space. Hello. If you do not know that waste is a really big threat to that industry, how are you going to talk about that as a weakness? And what can you do as an opportunity to get rid of that waste? You can partner with someone else. You can partner with thrift stores to eliminate the waste, right? Give the overages at a discount. That's something you could do. Or maybe you can, there's a project in, I think, Bali right now where they're turning plastic into furniture. They're eliminating a waste issue, right? But they know what industry they're operating in. So you have to know what industry. I'm saying all of these things because all of these things matter and they work in tandem. All right. It's a lot of information, but they work together. Know what industry you're in. What industry standards operate? What are the industry standards? When you know that, how do you innovate on the industry standards? When you know that, who are the competitors in that industry? When you know that, what are their weaknesses? What are their strengths? What opportunities do they have? What are their threats? How can I compete against them and beat them out? Because one threat that every industry has, and is always inherent, is the fact that you are always going to be fighting against new people in that industry. They're called new entrants, right? They're people who are coming in. When those new people coming in, you got to watch your back because they're underdogs now and they're hungry and they've studied you, right? The same way you're studying your competition, they study you to see what your strengths are, weaknesses are, threats are, opportunities are, and how they can leverage those and take advantage of those too. So that's something that you have to know, and all these moving parts are going to be working together. Drop a 1 in the chat if I did not just speak in vain. Okay. Please. I really appreciate that. Really, 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 really. All right. So now it's asking about revenue. All right. What are your total revenues to date? Top line. What is your year to date revenue? So that means it's April 2nd. What have you done so far in the year? What is your monthly recurring revenue? So that means what have you done month to month? What is your burn rate? That means if of the money that you have right now, how fast would you burn through that money? In 5 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. If you did not make one more dollar, all right? So those are things that they want to know. So they give you the formulas, right? So burn rate, monthly expenses plus other cash outlay. So you can determine what your revenue is, all right? And you'd enter that into the application. Now tell us about your user base, okay? You want to know who they are in every aspect because they are going to be buying from you. You have to know who they are. This is the content you're going to be creating for them. This is the products you're going to be servicing them with, the solutions you're going to be solving for them. So when they ask you to tell us about your user base, they're asking you to tell them who your customer is, how old they are, what race they are, what sex they are they educated, where they come from, what they value. They want to know everything that you know about your customer because that tells them that you can service them adequately. But more specifically and most importantly is that you need to know what their problem is. Why do we need to know what their problem is? Why do we need to know their problems? To know how to serve, exactly. Every single business that you encounter, pain points, so we know how to solve them, absolutely. Every single business that you engage with is solving a problem or a perceived problem for a profit, all right? Funny story, but not really so funny. How many of us knew that Viagra used to be a heart medication for babies? That's why I said perceived problem. Because they found out after using it on other people with heart conditions that men would get erections for hours. So they create, Jolena, you don't count. You already know all the things I'm going to say. It's not fair. All right. So Right, right. Okay. So when they started testing it on the heart to see how it responded to the heart, okay, got you. So when they started testing it, they realized that men would get erections for whatever predetermined, post-determined amount of time. And then they created the perceived problem. It was a problem. They were experiencing it, but they even named it. They gave it a name, erectile dysfunction. They named this problem. They created a name because this was a problem that they didn't know existed until that time. So we are entrepreneurs solving a problem for a profit. So most important thing is that you need to understand either your consumer's problem or perceived problem. This training has nothing to do with grants. Nothing. What we're talking about, the products that I produce, the systems that I built, have nothing to do with grants. You know what they have to do with? Business development. Absolutely. Because if you have a business that is properly developed, byproduct of that is being fundable. You guys perceive the problem of not being funded. The actual problem is not having a developed business. Do we get that? I just want to bring this home for everybody, right? You are solving a problem for a profit. So tell us about your user base. What problems do they have? What perceived problems do they have? Somebody let me know what your consumer problem is, and I'll tell you if that is really their problem or if they have a perceived problem or what their problem actually is. Because remember, no one actually wants to take the hammer and nobody wants to take the hammer or use a tool. They just want the nail in the wall so that they can hang their pictures, right? The tool is just a way to get that nail in the wall, but they don't really want to actually do that work. Right, you guys? So, what is your customer's problem? Let's talk about who your customer is and what their problems are so you can be able to successfully answer this question. Okay. Okay. Is this Yuri from Florida? Huh. Okay. So, all right, childcare. So the problem is a lack of childcare? Is the problem a lack of childcare? And then also misogynoir and underrepresentation in media. All right, so what is it about your consumer that they don't have or that they lack childcare? What problem does your consumer have that they do not have childcare? Because childcare is available. It's everywhere. There's like 20 pre-Ks within like 10 miles of me. Okay. So what is it about the actual parents that they're experiencing that they're lacking the childcare? And the misogynoir and underrepresentation in media and being underpaid by large entertainment companies. Okay. So the problem is that they're being underpaid, right? Do you know why they're being underpaid? Let me see if either of you guys can come on. That would help. Oh, I already tried. That wasn't working. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. Hey.
So I'm from Connecticut. We have a lack of childcare for infants and toddlers. Like there's limited spaces here.
Okay.
Everyone around here has pre-K, like you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find pre-K all over the place.
Okay.
But what you can't find is infants and toddler spaces. That's like the toughest thing right now.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Oh, so I found out today, especially for centers, the regulations behind it, and then after paying for the regulations for the first year, you're still in the red, right?
Yeah.
Um, because now you have to do separate. Well, me, I would do separate trainings just for the infants teachers.
Okay.
Um, and in having only four babies to one staff um versus 10 babies to
Okay.
one staff. It's just a whole different dynamic when it comes to these spaces for infants and toddlers, but that's the problem I'm trying to solve right now.
Okay.
But the first year, yeah, the first year you're majorly into the red, but
Got
it's
you.
what's needed.
Okay. So I'm not really sure I understand what the problem is just yet, right? Like you told me what the issues are in that space. Hold on, I'm just writing this down. So parents do not have access to childcare. So it's a lack of access.
It's lack of access, lack of funding, especially parents that are working.
Okay.
Um, I mean, just imagine you getting paid $1,000 a week and half of it going to childcare.
Okay, so you're naming a couple different problems. What is the core issue? Because this is going to be like what you're using to speak to that person to tell them you know what their issue is, right? So if you have to say, I create solutions for parents that do not have funds for childcare, is that the overarching issue?
That's yes, that's an overarching issue.
Okay, so
That's
now,
crazy that you just said that. I just wrote that into one of my grants. Go on.
okay, got you. Okay, so that it's the lack of money, right?
hmm
If they were to get money, what is the result that you would offer them?
So they would have a space. So my differentiator is longevity.
Okay.
And I have a family home daycare. So when you walk in, it's like, okay, it doesn't look like a family home. It looks like a center that you want to be at.
Okay. Okay. So I provide affordable childcare. How much do the parents typically make?
So because I'm in a lower income neighborhood,
Uh-huh.
um, typically less than $1,000 a week. Anywhere between $700 to $1,000 a week.
So this is like workforce people?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. That is the new demographics I'm having now. I usually get working class families and not workforce, but now I'm getting more workforce
Okay.
families that are homeless. Yeah.
Okay. So I provide affordable childcare for parents in the workforce. Um, there's still information missing. Hold on one second. Sorry. Uh, okay. Not sure why. Okay. All right. So this is what the problem is that you're solving. So when you're telling them about your user base, what are some characteristics of what the consumer is facing that needs to be solved, right? You said accessibility, right?
Yes.
Okay. So one problem that you're solving is being able to give access. Um, it sounds like you're also training them too, right?
Yep. I have different community resources that I connect my families to. I have to have that because there's so much that I just don't solve this childcare issue when families come in. It's sometimes it's the transportation issue, it's the housing issues. So I connect them with a lot of resources in the community that I'm partners with.
If your state offers vouchers, which is a good question because there are a lot of childcare vouchers. So do you connect them to community resources?
Community resources. Right now we have a few that are that's giving like first week deposit, application fees, that type of stuff. But if
Okay.
you're working right now in the state of Connecticut, they're not offering you, they're putting you on a waiting list.
Okay.
But if you are from the workforce program, you're automatically in.
Okay. Thank you. So what you actually do is connect families with childcare resources.
Yeah, I'm a major connector. Yes.
Yeah. So and part of that is the affordable childcare.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what you're actually doing. You're connecting them to what will be able to help them alleviate their childcare needs, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're only providing the need. So you're educating, what you're doing is providing educational resources for the consumer.
Yes.
Okay.
I like that better. You sound like, oh my God. Okay. I like that better.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they just don't know where to start or what to do, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, got you. So yeah, so you are giving them the basics of how to get child care needs met. That's what you actually do. That's the problem that they're having. They don't know where to start, what to do, that you're a resource to them. And you know all the background issues because they're not concerned about regulation and they probably they feel like they can't do anything about it anyway. So you're the middle guy, man, woman. You know what I mean?
I understand. Yes.
Okay, so I think positioning wise, when you're talking about your consumer, tell us about your base. Your base is ignorant to the resources that they have in childcare, right? They don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. The system is highly okay. I don't know why I just got a violation, but cool. TikTok, thanks. They're the system is highly mystified, right? And
Right.
it's difficult to navigate. So you provide resources for them that will allow them to navigate the childcare space successfully.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So you thought that lack of access, and funding was an issue when they don't even know where to start.
They don't even know where to start. And that's that I do that automatically. So for you to say it out loud, it's just like, wait. I just do it automatically. Like here. Here's where you start. Here's what you do. Here's how you make the phone calls. Here's how I connect you with da 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 da. I just do
Right.
it automatically. And then within 3 weeks, problem solved. And okay, this makes sense.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? Typically, we find that a lot. That happens a lot. So don't even feel bad if you do. Typically, the things that we do automatically and naturally when we're navigating the
Absolutely.
problem solving space is what the actual problem is, right? So like I've talked about so I mentioned that this is business development and not funding, right? I mentioned we don't actually talk about funding here. We're talking about business development things, right? Because a lot of businesses don't know that they're underdeveloped. Thank you, Lessa. You see what I'm saying?
You're
So
right.
the
You're right.
problem is not the perceived problem is that there's no access. The real problem is that there probably is access in some regard. It's just where. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's you're absolutely right. It's just where.
Where?
And
Right.
then when they find me and I say, here's all the connections, here's just like, what? This has been
Right.
here all this time? Yes.
It's always been here. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I'm glad we uncovered that. Does everybody understand? I'm sorry, I did not get your name. We just started talking.
That's okay. That's okay. From I saw your live, I was just like, okay, I'll stay here. My name is Latoya.
Latoya. Okay. Does everyone understand what Latoya and I just uncovered and how we uncovered it? Yes. Okay. We got a yes. Okay. This was spot on. Okay, perfect. So when you're answering that question, and Latoya, I'm gonna kick you off for now, but thank you for joining me.
No problem.
Okay. So, um, so when you're answering that question, you really want to get down to the nitty gritty of what your customer needs, because this is the meat and potatoes of what your product and offering is, right? I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. I need to blow my nose. Allergies won this season. Okay, I just want y'all to know I am defeated. Right? I gotta go to the man tomorrow and ask them for some stronger stuff, because this, nah, the allergies won this year. Okay. Um. All right. Didn't realize you were on. We'll catch up. What is the topic? Okay. So we're working through the Women Founders Network Fast Pitch Competition application. We went through 8 points. We're about to be on point number 9. We're just talking about identifying what your user's problem actually is, so you can solve the problems for them. Right. Next is a little bit higher level. TAM, SAM, and SOM. TAM stands for Total Addressable Market. SAM stands for Serviceable Addressable Market, and SOM stands for Serviceable Obtainable Market. Those three things, TAM. So most people, companies, investors will not invest in a company that does not have a TAM, so total addressable market, of at least a billion. That means that when you do your market research and you look at how big your market size is, it's at least 1 billion, right? Dollars in value. Next, serviceable addressable market is how much of that market, the TAM that you've totaled, can you actually address, right? Or can be addressed based on the demographic information, the segmentation, all those little details, right? Then the sum is how much of it you can actually obtain. Serviceable, obtainable market, right? So they're not thinking that you're going to get the whole billion. They don't think that you're going to get the whole, you're going to be able to address everybody. But they're also going to want to know, out of that, how much can you service? How much can you obtain? You have to do it per market. This is per market. So if you're trying to calculate the TAM for multiple markets, you gotta piecemeal it. So sorry. All right. Good question though, Jolina. Any other questions about this? TAM, SAM, and SOM. Okay. I'm gonna take that as a no. What type of no? What stage are you currently in? So are you pre-revenue? Have you already gained any traction? Do you guys have an MVP? So that means you have a minimally viable product. Um, what product type? It's asking what, no, currently stage. Okay. So it's asking, are you in the idea phase? Do you have a business plan mapped out? Do you have a minimum viable product built? So that means something that you can actually give to your consumer right now to test. Are you in beta, meaning that you are testing? Do you already have paying customers? Are you in any of the funding rounds like seed, series A, B, or C? Or are you EBITDA positive? That stands for earnings before interest. Don't quote me on that. I gotta remember. EBITDA. I always forget what the T is. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, right? Are you positive on that? Meaning that when you deducted all of those things, you're still generating a profit, right? So earnings, you still have money after all of those things are taken out or accounted for. All right. So, what stage are you in? Where are you? They're letting you apply for this grant if you're the idea phase, right? If you just have a business plan. So take advantage of that, okay? All right, what type of venture are you? So the question is, are you lifestyle, venture capital backed, nonprofit, investor backed? If you're not any of these, then, or if you're lifestyle, I would put lifestyle, or venture capital backed, or what kind of business could you be too? Because this is nonprofit, they don't even accept nonprofit. So if you're a nonprofit, don't apply. Investor backed or lifestyle, or you could be investor backed or venture capital backed, and you can put that too, even if you're not yet. Categories, define your venture category. So now they have all of the different industries, right? Know what industry you're in, because if you don't, your application will get kicked out. Okay. First, number one question, boom, gone. They're asking you to upload your pitch deck, and then if you have one, of course, I'm assuming you have a pitch deck. And they want you to do it in PDF format. And then DEI, please disclose DEI information for a team to better track funding flows. We ask for gender, identity, first generation college student, veteran status, racial ethnicity, that kind of stuff. All right, so they're asking you information about that, which is pretty easy to fill out. All right, so now let's take some questions. What stage are you in if you're changing models after being open for years? That's a good question. Let's see. I would probably say business plan mapped out because you're making a change, so you'd have to make plans and map, and I'm assuming you've mapped out how you're going to make those changes. So you could be, so that's a good point. Business plans or proposals, those kind of things, you guys can apply that within a business to new frameworks, right? So let's say you have a business that's been operating for 10 years, or you see Apple. When Apple decides they're going to drop an Apple Watch, they're going to create a new plan around that, right? Even though Apple it's a long-standing company, they're going to write up a proposal for who's going to use it, why they're going to use it, how they're going to go to market, how they're going to be successful. They're going to create a plan around it. So I would still say business plan. All right. Because that just means that you're planning out a new leg, new department, new phase, new iteration of your business or service. And then you still need to do market research as to why it's going to be successful. Okay. So that's that. Any other questions before we go? You guys, 62 of the most commonly asked questions right here. All right. Then I also tell you what the funder wants to know. And then I give you an example of how to answer that question. And then there's a blank sheet right here that allows you to write out the narrative yourself. So for example, right, it says, please explain how you generate revenue and your plans for future monetization. Grant funders ask about your company's revenue model to understand how your organization generates income, assesses financial sustainability and viability, determine if their grant can help enhance or diversify your revenue sources, right? So that's what they want to know. So when you're answering that question, an example for the answer would be, Eco Innovate currently generates revenue through a tiered subscription model aimed at SMEs and the sustainable sector, providing access to our marketplace of eco-friendly technologies. Moving forward, we will introduce a commission structure for marketplace transactions to increase revenue and invest in platform enhancement. Future monetization plans include establishing partnerships for licensing deals and offering data services, diversifying our revenue streams, and solidifying our market position. That is the example answer, right? Now you can take that example answer, how it's broken down, and then break it down for yourself. Okay? Cool. This book is super useful. It also goes through knowing your funder, all right? Crafting a compelling narrative. So when you do something like answer a question, it is a narrative. You are painting a picture. You're telling a story. So how do you do that? That's in a compelling way. Mastering the art of persuasion. You are trying to convince people to give you money. Read that chapter first. Common questions and how to address them. There's 62 questions and how to address them. Mistakes to avoid on your grant applications. Getting feedback from others, right? These are all things that matter. I wouldn't waste my time writing this book if I didn't think it was going to be valuable, if I didn't think it was going to help you. Get your questions answered. Put them in a format, in a way that when you're answering these applications, you're already ready to go. All right? Any questions before we go? Still got to do it per plan, per project, per initiative, per industry, per segment. Break it up. How do you address low industry? That's it here. Having a second eye to answer your questions or check your answers? Absolutely. That's why in our community, we have a group that meets twice a month called Feedback Friday. We do it every 2 Fridays of the month. Come with your grant applications, and this book comes with a community where we'll do that once a month. You come with your questions, and then we will help, or I will help you, and then maybe your community will get to a point where they can help you answer the question in a way that is compelling, persuasive, and structured properly to compete, right? So grab your copy. You can't lose with this book. It comes with its own community. We have a community inside of the community. We have sessions in the community where we meet twice a week to get feedback. It's literally called Feedback Friday, because you might not be able to see your own blind spots, right? Other people could. Jolina, I don't know if Jolina's still here, but Jolina's in the community, an active, engaged member. She helps me look at some of my blind spots in the community as well, because even as somebody who has done this for years, she'll give me feedback and she's like, oh, you know what about this? Or you said you were going to do that. Or what about this plan? Always have other people, even if they don't understand your business, because, and I talk about that in the book, even somebody who's not in the business, somebody who is in the business, because you want people to ask you questions that will get your mind going and implement those things, right? Grab your copy. Very useful book. It's not long. The longest chapter is chapter 5 because it has the most questions, and then you have to write your answers too. All right? So I'm going. We've been on here for an hour and 18 minutes, and my nasal situation is coming back up. So you guys, be good. Invest in yourself. I gave you the framework that you need to answer these questions. I broke them down. We gave examples. We had Latoya come on, and we got down to the root of what your customers, of who your customer is and what their problems actually are. All right. If you want to apply to this grant and you want to actually work, because this is not due till May 31st. So if you want to work through some of these answers, you can grab your book. I would encourage you to do that, and then meet us inside of the community if you want to streamline any of your answers. Boom, 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 boom. All right. You guys have a good night. Empress, you're more than welcome. And thank you for everyone that engaged. Thank you for the gifts. I'm going to also, when the live is over, The people who are the most engaged, TikTok tells me, and I will DM you for your books. All right? You guys have an amazing, amazing night.